Hey guys, in this video I'm going to talk about how to set up your Tradingview accounts, how to set up this EMA crossover panel, and how to read this EMA crossover panel. Now before we set up this EMA crossover panel, let's make sure we've got the right Tradingview plan. So you want to make sure you're subscribed to the Pro plan on Tradingview. You don't really need Pro Plus because you will have only 4 indicators on your chart after my setup, and you have room to add another indicator of your choosing. So grab the Pro plan, and you also want to make sure you scroll down and you grab these 3 guys. You want market data. You want the NASDAQ, NYSE, and ARCA market data. Without this, you won't get real-time data, or your pre and post market data will be incomplete. This is really important. You want to make sure you get this. Now, after you've got that set up, what you want to do is you want to open up the Discord, right, and go to one of the alerts. Let's say it doesn't matter which one, just open up that 5-minute time frame, and then we want to make a copy of this chart. So you can do that by clicking on copy, and you can name your chart something. Shit, I screwed up the name, whatever. So I've got this chart now, and this chart already has 5 indicators on there. It's got the STC, the MACD, the RSI, the EMA crossover, and support and resistance. And if we try to add another indicator, for example, if we try to go do this, it's going to say no, you can't add another indicator. So to add another indicator, we are going to have to remove some indicators. So I'm going to remove the support and resistance indicator and the EMA crossover indicator. Now, of course, you want those indicators, but don't worry about it. My EMA crossover panel has both those indicators built into it. So go back to the Discord. And search for EMA crossover info panel. You should be able to find the link this way. I wish this link was pinned, but you can find it this way, right? Once you find this link, open it up. So I'm just going to open it up here, and you want to make sure you add this to your favorite indicators. I've already added it to my favorite indicators, so it's showing me remove from favorite. So this is what you will see. So click on add to favorite indicators. Once you've added this to your favorite indicators, go into the indicator section here on your chart, click on the favorites tab, and you should see the EMA crossover info panel. If it isn't appearing there, you can just refresh your page. It says changes aren't saved, so click on this guy to save your changes. Refresh your page, click on indicators, and you should see it now. So EMA crossover info panel, hypnotic shark, this is the one. So give it a few seconds, it's loading. And once it's done loading, you will see that you have all of your crossovers back. You've got your support and your resistance. So both of Gabe's indicators are built into this one guy, and this one guy also has this. Let's go back to Tesla. Right. The only downside with this indicator, it can take a second for it to load because there is a lot of data it's pulling. So I'm going to go to the 1-minute time frame because that's where I can see a lot of information. And yeah, so all this indicator is it doesn't change the strategy that Gabe has been teaching us, right? Instead, actually, before I get into that, after you've added this indicator, save your chart. Click on that and it will save your chart. After you save the chart, we can continue with this. So this indicator is not meant to change the strategy. All it's meant to do is give you the information about all of the indicators that we typically use to trade the strategy across multiple time frames. Otherwise, you get tunnel vision when you're looking at a single time frame and you have no idea what's happening outside of it. Or you might just forget to check the 4 hours or the 1 day when you're trying to enter a trade. This thing is just supposed to be a quick checklist. You can just quickly glance here and you can go, oh, okay, there's a crossover on the 1 minute, or the price action just crossed above the 200 EMA, or the RSI just crossed above 45, or whatever it is, right? And this panel is just meant to give you that information. It uses the same calculations as all of these indicators, so all it's really doing is it's just taking the information from these indicators and just displaying it over here across multiple time frames. Before I show you how to read all of this, let's talk about these lines, right? These EMAs. So if you want to customize the colors on the EMAs, you can click on the settings, right? This is the settings button. You click on it and it will open this. Make sure you're on the style tab. On the style tab, you can change the colors over here. The fast EMA is your 13 and your slow EMA is your 48. So you can click on this and you can change it. You can change it to whatever color you want, right? You can see it changing over here. Right, I'm just going to leave it to whatever I had it as default. The default colors are set to match Gabe's charts. So you can change those two EMA colors. The 200 EMA is in yellow, the slow EMA is this pinkish red, and the fast EMA is this bluish color. Additionally, if you want to see the VWAP, you can enable that by just clicking on this checkbox, and now you have the VWAP. Let's say you want to see the 200 EMA from the 1 day chart on your 5-minute chart or your 1-minute chart. You can just click on this button and now you have your 200 EMA from the daily chart. You can also add it from the 4-hour chart. You can also add it from the 30 minutes chart and the 5 minutes and the 3 minutes. So now I have the 200 EMAs from all of these different time frames on a single chart. Of course, this makes my chart look a bit noisy, but now you can see where there is support and resistance from the different 200 EMAs on the different time frames on your current time frame, right? You don't have to switch to those time frames to figure that out. You can of course look at this panel to figure out which time frame is the price action closest to by looking at these numbers, but here's a much more visual representation of the same thing. And if this is too noisy for you and you don't like it, you can turn them off. If you want, you can change the colors too. And yeah, one of the other things this panel lets you do is, right now we are playing the 1348. This panel is set up for the 1348 by default, but let's say you are taking the 920 alerts and you played the 920. What you can do is you can go into the inputs and you can change the fast EMA to the 9 and the slow EMA to the 20, right? And you will see that this panel updates, right? Now it's showing you 920, and also these EMAs also update. They're also showing 920. I'm going to just hide these for now so we can see the chart much better. Okay, so yeah, this is the 9 and that's the 20 EMA. So I'm just going to change this back to 1348. And yeah, and you see these EMAs updated, right? So you can change which EMAs you're playing on by just changing these two numbers. You don't have to worry about these guys, they're just there. And you don't really have to worry about this stuff. One other thing you can do is, let's say this panel, right? You don't like the size of it. It's a bit hard for you to read. You want to make it larger? Well, you can change the indicator size. So you can say, hey, I want this to be really large. And that will change the size of it. So you can control how big or small that panel is. You can also control its position. You don't want it on the bottom right. Maybe the top right is better for you. Set it to the top right and this will place itself on the top right. Right, so This is customizable. You can change that over here. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I wouldn't really bother touching the rest of this unless you know what you're doing. So now we've got our chart set up with our EMAs and we've got our panel set up. Let's talk about how to read this panel, right? So let's look at this 1 minute. What is this 1 minute saying? This 1 minute has an X, a triangle, and this entire cell in the table is highlighted green. Now what that means is there's a cross, there's a 1348 cross that has just happened on the current candle. This is the current candle, and you can see there is a cross of the 1348 to the call side. That's why this is green. That's why there is a cross, because there is a cross on the current candle. It also crossed over the 200 EMA on the current candle. Here's the 200 EMA. On the previous candle, the price action was somewhere down here and it has crossed above it. So you can see there's a cross up above the 200 EMA on the current candle. That's why you have this cross over here. The RSI has crossed up into the 65, right? So there is a range between 45 and 55, which is considered as the mid range. And when the RSI is in between there, it could mean that the stock is trending sideways. This thing will show you that RSI in yellow as a warning saying, hey, it's approaching 50. But if it crosses above that 55 range into 65, or if it crosses below 45 into the 45 to, I don't know, the 0 or 30 range, it will show you a crossover, right? So it's crossed from this neutral, this yellow range into 65. So the RSI is in your favor right now, and this is what this thing is showing, right? The current RSI value is 65, right? It's at 65, and it's just crossed up from less than 55 to 65 on the current candle. The MACD has a cross into the green, so this histogram for the MACD has turned green. That's why this has turned green. Same thing with the STC. There's a buy signal on the STC. There's this green dot. Because there is this green dot here, this thing has a cross, a triangle, and the cell is highlighted saying, hey, there's a green dot. There's a change on the STC. The VWAP is red because the price is currently below the VWAP. I disabled the VWAP. Let me get that back here. So here you go. The price is below the VWAP, right? And this is exactly what this is showing you. There is no cross here because the price had already crossed down below the VWAP on a previous candle, and that happened somewhere over here, right? That's why you don't see a cross, you just see a triangle. A triangle alone indicates that an event occurred on a previous candle. A cross and a triangle means the event occurred on the current candle. Okay, so we've just gone through the 1 minute. For the sake of example, let's go through the 5 minutes, right? On the 5 minutes, it's saying there is a triangle on the 1348. So without even going to the 5 minutes, I can tell you that the 5 minutes is on a put, and the put happened on not the current 5 minute candle, but on a previous 5 minute candle. Let's verify that if that's true. So let's go to the 5 minutes. And that's exactly what's happened, right? It's about to cross into a call here, but it hasn't yet. The last thing that happened was a put, and that put happened on a previous candle. And I know that because there's no cross here, and you can see that over here, right? This was the last event. This was the put. This number here next to this triangle is very interesting. This number is Gabe's thigh gap, right? It is this gap between the 13 EMA and the 48 EMA. And this number on the 5 minute is telling me this gap is tiny as hell. It's 0.01%. That means it's really small, and something's about to happen. It's about to cross, right? And so you can look at this to measure the distance between these two EMAs and figure out that a cross is about to happen without even opening up the time frame. Same thing on the 200 EMA. You see this number here, this 0.45%. This 0.45% is just the percentage increase, the amount that the stock would have to increase in percentage to touch the 200 EMA, right? So if I measure this, right, you can see it's roughly, it's 0.45%, right? It's just that distance. You can see that, you can see this 0.44 or 0.45% over here. That's this number, right? It's just this distance. So you can figure out how close is it to the 200 EMA by just looking at that. The RSI on the 5 minute says, hey, it's crossed up into the 65, just like the 1 minute. MACD is green, and that green happened on a previous candle, so that happened over here. That's why you don't see a cross, and it's just saying, hey, it's green, and this number is just the MACD number, right? The MACD number is just the number of this blue line, right? And the blue line is somewhere up there, and you'll see that the MACD number is something similar to that, right? But yeah, that's just the MACD number. And yeah, so by just looking at this indicator, I'm able to get an idea of what's happening across multiple time frames at a glance. So I can check if the 5 minutes, if the 5 minutes, 4 hours, and 1 day are all telling you the same story, it means that that 5 minute move is likely going to be a stronger move. So you can use this to quickly get an idea of that. Let's look at a different stock. Right, like on the SPY, the 5 minute is telling me, hey, this is in a put, and every indicator on the 5 minutes is signaling a put. It's all red throughout, so that's why this 5 minute sell is highlighted red. It's saying every indicator is red on this 5 minutes, right? Similarly, every indicator is red on the 30 minutes. It means that this is likely to maybe go down. Of course, don't rely on this one alone. You want to read the chart along with this. You can see that the RSI might be curling up. So this is just meant to, point out things that are happening, but make sure you look at the chart as well, and just don't keep staring at this one guy, right? Look at the chart, read your charts. Yeah, and this 200 EMA is red because the 200 EMA is red on every time frame. The price action is below the 200 EMA on every time frame, and just by looking at this, I can tell you that on the daily time frame, the price action has broken below the 200 EMA on the current daily candle. It's negative 0.5% below. So I can go to the daily time frame, and you can see the 200 EMA is over here, and the price action has broken below it, right? It's 0.5% below right now, the current price. It might get rejected, I don't know, but that's where it's at, right? And this thing gave me that information when I was staring at the 5 minute chart. And if you were playing a put, maybe that might either signal a bounce, a potential bounce that could have happened on your 5 minutes, because look, there's also resistance here, right? It could bounce, and maybe that's what we're seeing here. Or if it breaks below that, then you might get a stronger move to the downside. Yeah, and that's really all I had. I hope this indicator helps you. I made this indicator initially for myself because I'm new to trading and I wanted to see all of this data in one place. I was finding it hard to jump across multiple time frames and figure out what is happening while having only 2 minutes to enter the trade. And so I just made something that would help me in my trades, and I'm sharing it with you because I like to help people, and that's the reason why I've made it, and that's the reason why I'm sharing it. All of the source code is available for other programmers if they want to improve upon it and they want to add features and they want to make it better. You're free to do whatever you want with it. I hope it helps. Thanks.